Well, this is a subject that I feel like many people can relate to. I feel like it's something that we've heard from the mouths of some of our favorite people. And all too often it's hidden or played downwards, the impact it has on our lives. And plainly speaking, a lot of times we just don't want to go back there, man. We want to move forward, and that's understandable. But there's something about making peace with the past, making peace with the situations and circumstances that led you to where you are, that got you to where you are. I, like many people, grew up pretty humble. And taught me a lot of lessons pretty early on. It built a lot of strength in me. It forced me to see things realistically. And unfortunately, a lot of times, it had its shadows, it has its side effects, it has its things that you kind of have to work through in your 20s, 30s, and sometimes in your 40s, especially if you haven't made peace with it. But see, this lesson today is not about making peace with it. It's about appreciating it. So the title is The Blessing in Growing Up Poor. And you say, wait, the blessing, not in riches, not in wealth, not in happiness, not in contentment, but the blessing in growing up poor. So let me start it this way. I can talk on this for a very long time, but I'm going to keep it condensed for you. When you came here to this world, you came here with talents, blessings, characteristics. You came here with who you are. And a lot of who you are is what you were given DNA wise and genetic wise. But also you came here with your soul having an assignment, with your spirit having its own purpose. The body is just its vehicle to attain that purpose. The family is another vehicle to attain that purpose. So we like to think that our circumstances make us. Our things we're born into kind of creates who we are. We like to say, well, this is how I am because this is how I grew up. But the truth of the matter, on a higher level, from a soul perspective, the family situation you find yourself in is one that was made specifically for the lessons that you needed. And if it's a lesson that you needed, then it's a lesson that was going to help your soul get to the next level. I mean, we're in the physical world, as I mentioned before, but what's real about you, the essence of who you are, is not physical. It's spiritual. It's a soul. It's a spark of light. It's a fractionalized component of the great I am. And this fractal grows by experiences. But the only way those experiences can grow something perfect, they say, I am is perfect. God is perfect is what people say. Then why does God need to experience? You got everything, and it's perfect. You don't need people. So why are we here? And that's been a question that many philosophers, man, and people, the greatest minds on earth, they've had theories about. Something I've been pondering on since I was like a kid. And I tell you, no one has the answer, but we have plenty of theories. And my theory is that the great I am, what you refer to as God, is perfect, but it's trying to get more perfect. It's trying to get more holy. How do you get more holy? By having more experiences it can consolidate. So when you look at people, yourself included, you're an experience. You are a dream to the great I am. And whatever you experience, it grows from, expands from. They call it the Big Bang. What does this have to do with growing up poor? Well, how do you expand? Number one, if there's nowhere to go. You need room to expand. And one of the things I noticed about the great I am, and you guys again refer to it as God, it's a different situation, but that's a different topic, is that it needs, just like you need, space to grow. But the more material possessions you have, the more comfortable you are, the less you have a desire to grow. The less you see opportunity from a necessity perspective. Evolution works that way. Evolution doesn't work by mistake. The animals and evolution have whatever you guys call it, right? It works by an animal being uncomfortable. And it grows, it changes. It's uncomfortable being chased, so it gets faster. It's uncomfortable grabbing something it can consume, and it has to consume it slower because it doesn't have long enough teeth, so it grows longer teeth. See, it's necessity. They say necessity is the mother of invention, but necessity is the mother of evolution. And evolution is derived from pain, suffering, and desire. So what am I saying in short? The reason why you grew up humble and poor is because you have favor. How? Because this is where the favor comes from. If the material world that many religions across and spirituality and spiritual systems across the world say is Maya, is a mirage, they call it matrix, they call it all these different things, a simulation, then how do you find yourself or your soul so stuck in a simulation? You get stuck in a simulation or Maya or the material world when things are so comfortable. But when you're young and impressionable and your life is set up where you have to struggle, there are lessons inside of that struggle. And there's blessings inside of that struggle that creates the you that will be stronger and wiser than if you were just an individual who had it all. And the more I've thought about this, the more I realized how much of a blessing it was. Can you imagine having everything you want? Can you imagine never having to ponder on God? Or never having to think or pray for something to happen that creates a situation where you become more connected? If you have everything, what next? If you don't know what it feels like to not have, what do you need God for? So it's not like God is setting you up so that you can need it, setting you up so you can understand yourself. So never feel like if I would have just had a different foundation, I could have amounted to something greater. That's rarely the case. Most kids do not build off the wealth of their parents. They may build, but they never accumulate the wealth that the daddy or the granddaddy did, or the grandma. They live off of it. You make their lives easier, but it doesn't build character. They may have more information because they have access to information that you're giving them, but do they appreciate the information? Can they apply it? And these are things that we don't really talk about or think about when we grew up humbly. We just try to, make things work. So, in short, the favor is because it knew that the less you had, the stronger you will become. That the less you had, that desire will create a fire in you. That you can achieve better than what you were given. It's like weights at a weight room. Light weights don't make changes. Heavy weights make changes. So consider that when you're having a hard time, when you feel like shoulda, woulda, and couldas. Just understand something. It was never meant to be a curse. It was always meant to be a blessing. It was always meant to make you stronger, because had you would have been given those things that you felt like you should have been given, you would have never turned some corners that you turned. Maybe you would have been more materially successful. Maybe you would have experienced some things that you felt like you could have experienced. But so much internal change, because see, all this is temporary. Woe to the man or woman that gains all this stuff but never makes internal changes. That's more of a sad thing, man, than So never be jealous of people's possessions or what they have, their cars and how homes and the things that you feel like people are, and the things that happen to you. Don't be jealous of people, because a lot of times what you see them have came from hardship, and they paid for it in the beginning, and they're just now maybe reaping some of those benefits, but they had to pay that price. And a lot of times you don't want to pay the price, you just want the product. It doesn't work that way. So in short, you were favored, not cursed. You were given an opportunity to have growth that would be important even after this life. That's the most important. Not necessarily just the growth of this life, but the growth afterwards. There's nothing more important than that. So make peace with the past. Make peace with what you were given or not given. And the less you had compared to where you are now, you did that. You did it. And that's what matters.